The 2026 version of the Tesla Model X is a curious blend of continuity and subtle evolution. A car that, on the surface, looks much like the Model X you may have seen a decade ago, yet beneath the skin hides a number of incremental but meaningful improvements. In reviewing this latest iteration based on a recent in-depth test, it's clear the Model X remains compelling in many respects, but also shows its age and a few persistent flaws that may matter to a buyer seeking a perfect luxury electric SUV. A familiar form, but sharpened underneath. At first glance, the 2026 Model X seems faithful to the form that made it famous. Distinctive falcon wing rear doors, a towering SUV profile, and a panoramic windshield that stretches up into the roof. These are more than just styling cues. They remain key to the car's identity, helping it stand out in a sea of SUVs. Yet despite its visual familiarity, Tesla has quietly re-engineered large parts of the Model X's mechanical and structural makeup. Most impressively, the 2026 Model X is substantially lighter, by almost 400 pounds compared with early versions. The weight savings come from many areas: the battery pack, motors, driveline, structural panels, and even interior trim. Why does that matter? Because EVs, especially large SUVs, typically grow heavier over time as automakers add more tech, safety features, and comfort amenities. For Tesla to reverse that trend is unusual, and it delivers real benefits to driving dynamics, energy efficiency, and possibly long-term wear and tear. That balance, familiar, bold design, plus an effectively modernized mechanical backbone, is perhaps the central duality of the 2026 Model X. Performance and range, electric power with real-world substance. One of the headline strengths of the 2026 Model X is its powertrain. The base dual-motor all-wheel drive setup churns out 670 horsepower, enough for a 0 to 60 miles per hour sprint in 3.6 seconds and a quarter mile in roughly 11.5 seconds. That's sports SUV territory, a level of acceleration that few large electric SUVs can match, especially when you consider the Model X still seats multiple passengers and offers a roomy cabin by many standards. On the range front, the 2026 Model X now officially carries an EPA estimate of up to 352 miles, and in real-world highway testing it logged about 300 miles at 75 miles per hour, placing it among the strongest performing electric SUVs currently available. These stats reinforce that the Model X isn't merely about flair. It offers genuinely competitive performance and usable range. For buyers seeking a large, electric, fast SUV that doesn't compromise on everyday usability, that's a strong baseline. Tech upgrades, interior refresh, a more convincing cabin than before. Inside, Tesla has also taken steps to keep the cabin relevant. The 2026 Model X features upgraded materials and additional sound deadening. The version tested included a wood trim interior with white seats, choices that help the cabin feel more upscale than older Model X variants. Notably, Tesla now bundles some of its ecosystem perks more assertively. Optional full self-driving capability and lifetime free access to the company's supercharger network. For long-term EV owners, that's a potentially important benefit, cutting both charging costs and friction of owning an EV. Another particularly clever addition is an efficiency screen that dynamically shows what factors are affecting your range, from wind and elevation to temperature, speed, and tire pressure. For someone who cares about maximizing real-world efficiency, that feature converts EV data into actionable insights. On the drive, despite being a large SUV, the Model X handles more competently than you'd expect. Its steering remains precise, and with the new suspension tuning, the ride quality feels improved compared with earlier generations, though with caveats. More on that soon. Still a few chinks, noise, space, and practicality compromises. However, the 2026 Model X isn't flawless. In some respects, the cabin refinement remains good enough, but not quite at the level of the most luxurious SUVs on the market. Despite added sound insulation and active noise cancellation, the Model X still produces noticeable wind and road noise at highway speeds, louder than you would expect in a six-figure luxury vehicle. Interior space, particularly in the second and third rows, also continues to show limitations. Even with the second row seats slid all the way back, the available legroom doesn't feel substantially better than the much smaller and more affordable sibling to the Model X in Tesla's lineup. The third row remains most suitable for kids or occasional use. The iconic falcon wing doors remain a love it or hate it kind of feature. Yes, they retain their drama and uniqueness, but they open/close slower than conventional doors, and in tight spaces or low-ceiling garages their practicality remains questionable. Moreover, and perhaps more concerning, testing revealed several build quality and reliability issues. Among them, rattles near the rear-view mirror/forward camera housing, uneven gaps in gull-wing doors, an air suspension glitch, and, most alarming, a front wheel that worked itself loose after less than a week of light driving, with lug nuts reportedly found finger-tight. While those may be anomalies, possibly issues with the specific test vehicle, they nonetheless raise red flags about consistency in quality and long-term dependability, something especially relevant for a premium SUV at this price point. On the market, value, appeal, and who the 2026 Model X is for. If you ignore the quirks, the 2026 Model X delivers a strong package. Sporty acceleration, serious range, the novelty of falcon wing doors, access to Tesla's charging network, and a cabin that feels more modern than early generation models. Its base price is reportedly lower than what a comparable performance-oriented version cost a decade ago, making it somewhat more attainable within its luxury EV segment. For certain types of buyers, this is exactly what an EV SUV should be. Namely, someone who values perks, performance, and personality as much or more than ultra-refinement or maximum practicality. If you are drawn to the idea of a spacious electric SUV that still feels futuristic, delivers sports car levels of acceleration, and plugs into Tesla's relatively mature charging network, the 2026 Model X remains among the more compelling choices today. However, if your priorities are more conservative, you want a near-silent cabin, ultra-refined build quality, maximum interior space, especially for third-row passengers, or bulletproof reliability, then the flaws stand out more clearly. In that case, a competing EV SUV might serve you better. Verdict: a 2026 classic, evolved but still eccentric. The 2026 Tesla Model X is perhaps what you get when you ask an automaker to age gracefully. It hasn't been reinvented. The silhouette remains immediately recognizable. The falcon wing doors are still there, and the overall vibe still carries that this is an unusual SUV energy. And yet, under the veneer of familiarity lies real progress. Significant weight reduction, stronger performance, better interior materials, more efficient mechanics, and thoughtful touches like lifetime supercharging and a dynamic efficiency monitor.
Thanks for watching. Drop a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.